3. Camp on the high prairie. Pa might come as usual. First, he unhitched and unharnessed Pat and Patty, and he put them on their picket lines. Picket lines were long ropes fastened to iron pegs driven into the ground. The pegs were called picket pins. When horses were on picket lines, they put it on the rust that the long ropes wouldn't let them reach. But when Pat and Patty were put on them, the first thing they did was to lie down and run back and forth and over. They ran till the feeling of the harness was all gone from their backs. While Pat and Patty were running, Pa pulled on the rust from a large round space of ground. There was on that rust at the roots of the green rust, and Pa would take no chance of setting the prairie on fire. If fire once started in that dry underrust, it would sweep that whole country bare and black. Pa said best be on the safe side. It saves trouble in the end. When the space was clear of the rust, Pa laid a handful of dry rust in its center. From the creek bottoms, he brought an armful of twigs and dead wood. He laid small twigs and larger twigs, and then the wood on a handful of dry rust, and he lighted the rest. The fire crackled merrily inside a ring of bare ground that it couldn't get out of. Then Pa brought water from the creek, while Mary and Laura helped Ma get supper. Ma measured coffee beans into the coffee mill, and Mary rolled them. Laura filled the coffee pot with the water Pa brought, and Ma set the pot in the corns. She set the iron bake oven in the corn stew. While it heated, she mixed cornmeal and salt with water and patted it into little cakes. She reached the bake oven with a pork rind, laid the cornmeal cakes in it, and put on its iron cover. Then Pa raked more corns over the cover, while Ma sliced fat short pork. She fried the slices in the iron spider. The spider had short legs to stand on in the corns, and that was why it was called a spider. If it had had no legs, it would have been only a frying pan. The coffee boiled, the cakes baked, the meat fried, and they all smelled so good that Laura grew hungrier and hungrier. Pa set the wagon seat near the fire. He and Ma sat on it. Mary and Laura sat on the wagon tongue. Each of them had a tin plate, and a steel knife, and a steel fork with wide bone handles. Ma made a tin cup, and Pa had a tin cup, and baby Carrie had a little one on her own. But Mary and Laura had to share their tin cup. They drank water. They could not drink coffee until they grew up. While they were eating supper, the purple shadows closed around the campfire. The vast prairie was dark and still. Only the wind moved stealthily through the rust, and the large, low stars hung glittering from the red sky. The campfire was cozy in the big, chill darkness. The slices of pork were crisp and fat. The corn cakes were good. In the dark beyond the wagon, Pat and Patty were eating too. They bit off bites of rust with softly crunching sounds. "We'll camp here a day or two," said Pa. "Maybe we'll stay here. There's good land, timber in the bottoms, plenty of game, everything a man could want. What do you say, Caroline?" "We might go farther and fare worse," Ma replied. "Anyway, I'll look around tomorrow," Pa said. "I'll take my gun and get us some good fresh meat." He lighted his pipe with a hot horn and stretched out his legs comfortably. The warm, brown smell of tobacco smoke mixed with the warmth of the fire. Mary yawned and slid off the wagon tongue to sit on the rest. Rory yawned too. Ma quickly washed the tin plates, the tin cups, the knives and forks. She washed the back oven and the spider, and rinsed the dishcloth. For an instant she was still, listening to the long wailing howl from the dark prairie. Dale knew what it was, but the stars always ran caught up Laura's backbone and wrinkled over the back of her head. Ma shook the dishcloth, and then she walked into the dark and spread the cloth on the torn grass to dry. When she came back past the worms half a mile away, I just, well, where there's deer, there will be worms, I wished. He didn't say what he wished, but Laura knew he wished Jack were there. When worms howled in the big woods, Laura had always known that Jack would not let them hurt her. A lump swelled hard in her throat, and her nose smarted. She winked fast and did not cry. That wolf, or perhaps another wolf, howled again. Bedtime for little girls, Ma said cheerfully. Mary rode up and turned around so that Ma could unburden her. But Laura zoomed up and stood still. She saw something deep in the dark beyond the firelight. Two green lights were shining near the road. They were eyes. Cold ran up Laura's backbone, her scalp wrinkled, her hair stood up. The green lights moved. One winked out, then the other winked out. Then both shone steadily, coming nearer. Very rapidly they were coming nearer. Look, Pa, look, Laura said, a wolf. Pa did not seem to move quickly, but he did. In an instant he took his gun out of the wagon and was ready to fire at those green eyes. The eyes stopped coming. They were still in the dark looking at him. It can't be a wolf unless it's a mad wolf, Pa said. Ma lifted Mary into the wagon, and it's not that, said Pa. Listen to the horses. Pat and Patty were still biting up bits of grass. A lynx, said Ma. Or a coyote. Pa picked up a stick of wood, he shouted and threw it. The green eyes went close to the road as if the animal crowd to spring. Pa held a run ready. The creature did not move. Don't, Charles, Ma said, but Pa slowly walked toward the eyes. Slowly, along the road, the eyes crawled toward him. Laura could see the animal in the edge of the dark. It was a tawny animal and brindled. Then Pa shouted and Laura screamed. Jack, who lapped her face and hands with his warm, wet tongue. She couldn't hold him. He leaped and wriggled from her to Pa to Ma and back to her again. Well, I'm bit, Pa said. So am I, said Ma. But did you help to wake the baby? She rocked Carrie in her arms, hushing her. Jack was perfectly well, but soon he lay down close to Laura and sighed alongside. His eyes were red with tiredness, and on the under part of him were caked with mirth. Ma gave him a cold milk cake, and he licked it and growled politely, but he could not eat. He was so tired. No telling how long he kept swimming, past that, nor how far he would carry downstream before he landed. And when at last he reached them, Laura called him a wolf and Pa threatened to shoot him. But Jack knew they didn't mean it. Laura asked him, "You knew we didn't mean it, didn't you, Jack?" Jack wagged his thumb of a tail he knew. Was past bedtime. Pa turned Pat and Patty to the feed box at the back of the wagon and fed them their corn. Carrie slept again. Emma helped Mary, Laura undress. She put their long nightgowns over their heads while they stuck their arms into the sleeves. They burdened the neckbands themselves and tied a string of their nightcaps beneath their chins. Under the wagon, Jack wearily turned around 3 times and lay down to sleep. In the wagon, Laura and Mary said their prayers and crawled into their little bed. Ma kissed them good night. On the other side of the canvas, Pat and Patty were eating their corn. When Patty whooshed into the feed box, the whoops were right at Laura's ear. There were little scurrying sounds in the grass. In the trees by the creek, an owl called "Woo, woo," farther away. Another owl answered "Woo, woo." Far away on the prairie, the wolves howled, and under the wagon, Jack growled low in his dress. In the warren, everything was safe and snug. Thickly in front of the open wagon top hung the last glittering stars. Pa could reach them, Laura thought. She wished he would pick the largest one from the thread on which it hung from the sky and give it to her. She was wide awake and she was not sleepy at all, but suddenly she was very much surprised. The largest star grinned at her. Then she was waking up next morning.